following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
This is the Players Lounge, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your hosts, Barry Church, Danny McCray, and Newy Scruggs.
Hey everybody, Friday, the Players Lounge. I am longtime Cowboys reporter Newy Scruggs, joined by two Cowboys, former Cowboys players, and this is their show. They give us the insights that they had as guys who wore the star. Danny McCray and Barry Church. Gentlemen, how we doing? McCray, I'll start with you, man.
I'm good, man. Just another week of quarantine for me, man. Just in the house, looking at these same windows, searching for new TV shows to watch.
All right, what's the last good TV show you watched, McCray?
Man, I started Animal Kingdom probably a week ago, and I'm all the way through season 4 now. So I'm enjoying it. It's very similar to Sons of Anarchy, if you like that show.
I haven't seen Sons of Anarchy, but I did watch that Jeffrey Epstein show you told me to watch. I did watch that on Netflix. I did see that. Yes.
The justice system, huh?
So it was very, very revealing. So if anybody has not watched that one, Brother McCray here is about to become a good television critic here. So he's been giving me several shows that I must say are very good. So, okay. In Church, my man, you're not in the woods, are you?
Nah, I'm back in the D, man. I'm back in the D.
All right.
It's hot. Okay. It's hot outside. Logged a couple miles on the bike this morning, but I'm good. I'm ready to be back on the show, man. Let's get it cracking.
Okay. Have you been watching anything on television lately that we need to be checking out?
Man, so I did watch that Epstein joint, which was crazy. Other than that, man, I've been struggling to find something to watch. I've been watching a lot of old reruns of Rick and Morty, if anybody ever watched that. But other than that, man, I've been struggling to find something to watch.
All right, I'll give you a podcast that's really good, especially when you're out there on your bike, called 1619. It won a Pulitzer Prize. Nicole Hannah-Jones hosts it. It's about 5 parts here, and 1619 goes back to the first slaves that were brought to America. But just a fantastic look at Black history and just some fantastic things that you just didn't know. It really is. I equate it to a college course. She could have taught us a college course and given out tests to it because there's so much information, a lot of good things there. But really, 1619. So check out that podcast here. Let's dive into some Cowboy issues here. And you guys raised a really good question. I want to dive into that. Which side of the ball do you think will have a tougher time catching up? Because they're not going to be OTAs or minicamp. Cowboys probably just go straight into training camp here. Is it going to be the offense or the defense? Church, go ahead.
For me, I think it's going to have to be the defense that's going to have to play a lot of catching up. And I say that because on the offensive side of the ball, they didn't really lose a lot of their main type talent. Yes, they lost Randall Cobb, but they were able to fill that with CeeDee Lamb, and hopefully he's able to fill in those shoes greatly. But, they still have their same offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. They still have the same pieces, the dynamic pieces that can make them a super offense out there. So I feel like the offense, with a couple maybe terminology might be different a little bit, but I think they'll have an easier job transitioning with this new coaching staff and the start of the season being so delayed as it is. And on the defensive side of the ball, they lost Byron Jones. They lost some guys, the key guys on the defensive line. We've seen, the linebackers took a step back as far as their play is concerned, so they got to step it up. And so I think they'll have, and they also have a whole new defensive playbook, so they'll have a lot to catching up to do. They weren't able to be around each other this spring and really get after and kind of play off the strengths and weaknesses of other players. So I think they'll have a lot of catching up to do. The terminology will be different, but they do have those leaders on the defensive side of the ball to get it done. I just think they'll have to do a lot of catching up to the offensive side of the ball once the season begins.
Yeah, for me, I'll go with both reasons. This will be unpopular amongst us three, but I think the offense will be okay because they have so many playmakers on that offense, and I think that they can cater that offense to them with a less amount of time, right? Because you got so many big time playmakers out there. And on defense, I think it'll be the same. I think that we'll be able to get a real rush going and help out our secondary. So for me, it's going to be special teams. I think we got a lot of guys that we saw last year, the effect that special teams can have on the game when you don't have that experience from players and coaches on there. And I think that you'll have a lot of new guys coming in playing positions that they hadn't played before on punt and on kickoff and on punt return. And I think you'll see some crucial mistakes if we aren't able to get out there and get that stuff taken care of before the season starts. So I think if you look at special teams, it could be a problem for us if we don't have enough time to get that stuff taught and corrected.
Let me ask you a question real quick, McCray. Let me ask you real quick my question. Do you feel like the Cowboys have done enough addressing the special teams as far as bringing in players that are strictly special team pieces that can basically promote their special teams unit to being better than last year? Do you think we made enough moves in the offseason for that?
I mean, compared to what we've done in the past, I do. I believe that we kind of focus a little bit more on bringing some guys in that are just specifically special teams players, and that is more than we had done in the past. Most of the time, it was our own undrafted free agents that we ended up keeping and turning us into special teams guys. So I think that there's been more of a focus on the special teams, and I think that that'll show a little bit more. My worry is just, when you got guys who don't know how to kick step and block for guys who are rushing on punt, those things can become big issues.
All right, so McCray, here's something that's very interesting, just based off what you said about special teams, is what is Mike McCarthy's philosophy on using starters on special teams? And I bring this up because when Bill Parcells was here, he had guys like Brady James, who was a starting linebacker, Jason Witten, starting tight end. He put these guys out there on special teams, and Lawrence Taylor played special teams for Bill Parcells when he was up with the New York Giants and Carl Banks. So what do you think Mike McCarthy's philosophy is going to be in terms of using guys who are starters?
I think times have changed, and I don't think those starting guys are as open to being on special teams as they used to be. So I think it'll be a lot more pushback. And I don't think that he will push very hard to get some of those star players out there. So I don't think we'll see very many starting guys on special teams this season, besides being a punt returner.
Okay,
so that's a great question. Go ahead, Newy.
No, Church, go ahead, because I'll follow it up. So go ahead, Barry.
Oh no, I was just piggybacking off of you, just saying that's a great statement because back in the day you had, if you think about like the Ravens of 2000, you had Ed Reed and all those guys coming off the edges and blocking punts, and you had like guys like Dante Hall back in the day returning kickoffs and starting receivers. So I just think it's tough that times have changed like that to where starters are kind of like, I'm strictly a running back, I'm not messing with those special teams. But I remember back in the day that used to be a huge part of the game, but I think it's just kind of changed a little bit.
All right, so my next question here, Danny, going back into special teams, because I think this is a really good critical question that you've raised here. If you're John Fossil, the new special teams coach, how do you use training camp with your special teams guys, not really truly knowing, okay, who's going to make the team, what guys do I use? How do you go about taking a roster of 90 that you're going to cut down and deciding who you spend your time with and putting on special teams to see who can do the job? Because, really, do you want to have guys out here running down here that you're going to get cut that eventually is going to be wasted reps on?
Right. I think that's where the collective effort comes in with the coaching staff, right? So knowing now that you don't have OTAs and minicamp, when you get into training camp, you have to have some type of idea of who's going to be on the team, right? So you have to get together as those coaches and meet and say, hey, look, we know that this guy has a 90% chance of making the team, so make sure that you kind of cater to this guy and have him on the teams and get him some reps, because this is one of the guys that you may have to depend on when you get into the season. Now, the other guys will get some reps, but since they're more of long shots, they'll get probably less reps than those guys that were already eyed as people who would make the roster. So they just got to come together and point out guys who they believe will be on the roster.
Okay, gotcha. And for fans out there that are thinking, all right, they're talking special teams, it's boring. No, look, this is a very big part of why the Cowboys were not a team that made the playoffs last year. Their special teams was atrocious. And the fact is, when you talk about all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams, and the Cowboys basically went in every game last year losing that battle. So you're trying to find a way to win two phases instead of trying to win three phases. That New England game, the special teams lost the game. So we're talking about a topic and a subject that needs to be addressed. Barry, you made this team as a free agent rookie, and so did you, Danny. But Barry, go back to how you made the team was through special teams. And I look at a kid like Darius Anderson, running back out of TCU, free agent running back. He's got to make an impact on special teams if he's going to make this football team, because they've got Ezekiel Elliott, they've got Tony Pollard. So for some guys, this truly is going to be the way they make the Dallas Cowboys in 2020.
Of course, it's going to be the way. I mean, if I take it back to when I was a rookie, I had, Gerald Sensabaugh was in front of me, Alan Ball, Patrick Watkins. I had a lot of veterans that were proven up there. So I knew for me to get on this team, especially being undrafted, I had to bust my butt on special teams. I had to become best friends with Joe DeCamillis on the special teams, and basically saying that I'll run through a wall for you if you just give me a chance. And I was able to do that. And then later on, the defensive play came along, and I was able to get reps on defense. But for those undrafted guys, knowing that they got a steep climb ahead of them to even crack the lineup, I mean, they gotta become best friends with the special teams guy and just want to run through the wall for him. I mean, it doesn't sound popular, but that's the easiest way to get onto a team.
All right. There's another topic we spoke about here, and this is going to be very interesting because I love this. Which starting defensive rookie do we think, I should say, which rookie will be a starter? Which Cowboys defensive rookie do you think will end up being a starting football player? I'll start with you, Danny.
Oh, easily Diggs. He's coming in. Byron Jones. Byron Jones is out of there. They need to fill that spot, and we talked previously about some guys that are already on the roster and will be up for some serious competition to keep their starting jobs. And I think Diggs being picked up in the second round is a clear indicator that he's vying for that starting position. I think he'll be able to get it.
I'm going to stick in the secondary on this one, but it's going to be a tough one for me because, Byron Jones, he was a long, rangy corner, very, very physical when it came to pressing at the line of scrimmage, and he was a great man-to-man corner. And they see a lot of that in the Trayvon Diggs guy, Trayvon Diggs, who's out there at cornerback, the guy from Alabama. But they also had that in, I believe his name is Reggie Robinson, if I'm not mistaken, at a corner that they got in the fourth round. He's a long, rangy guy, can run with anybody, and he's great in press to press man-to-man coverage. So I think it's going to be a competition between those two to crack the lineup. I don't feel as though Cheeto going into the season is going to be the starter. I think he'll start out at camp as a starter just because he knows, they know him as a player. But I think overall one of these rookies might supplant him. And I think I'm going with the surprise kid in the fourth round. I mean, we've seen fourth rounders before are scrappy. They kind of get the game and they're kind of hungry for it. So I'm going to go with him over Trayvon Diggs, but it's going to be a tough competition at corner.
All right, I want to take you guys way back in the Cowboys' way back machine. During the Wade Phillips era, they used a first-round pick on Mike Jenkins out of South Florida and a fifth-round pick out of Boise State. You guys know him very well, Orlando Scandrick. At first, Jenkins was given the opportunities, and he was the guy that got pushed, and he was a starter. But over time, we saw Scandrick just took over. And both guys ended up being, productive players for the Cowboys, but Scandrick had a longer tenure with them. And when you bring up Reggie Robinson, the way you did, Church, that just made me think about that those two corners and the careers they had with the Cowboys. But I'll believe in what Danny is saying. Diggs is going to be the guy. Because, look, if Diggs is not a starter at some point in this year, either Cheeto's going to be playing really, really well, or Diggs has let us down, because this is a guy we all considered to be a first-round pick for the Cowboys at 17, and he ends up getting to the Cowboys in the second round. So I'm expecting big things from Trayvon Diggs. I really am. I think Trey Diggs has got to be an impact player and a guy who starts. And if Reggie Robinson can also come along the way and be a starter too, then you're talking about one heck of a class. If you get two corners that are starting out of a draft class in a second and fourth round, that means you really done some good work.
Yeah, that would go hats off to Will McCray right there, man. And that was a great comparison you made with the Mike Jenkins and Orlando Scandrick. Both similar type guys, and Jenkins got all the first early opportunities, and he was able to capitalize on a lot of those opportunities. But as we saw over time, Scandrick was just able to take it and have a longer, more productive career. And I see a lot of similarities between Diggs and Robinson. So hopefully they have a great competition, and we'll see who the best player comes out. But I think I'm gonna slide towards Robinson on this one.
Well, with that comparison, which one of those guys fit better in the slot? Because, Orlando's career was a little bit longer because he was almost able to master covering in the slot and playing that nickel position. So
this is true.
So would you say the fourth round guy is going to be the guy who's going to be in the slot? Because Jordan Lewis is in there; he makes some plays.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are going to supplant Jordan Lewis in there as a slot. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Orlando as far as just being feisty and just being that prototypical nickel. So I see him staying in there for the long ride. But on the outside, I mean, I can see both of them kind of supplanting Brown and Louisiana. They both get in there. But like I said, that would be a heck of a draft class. And I have to go with Newy on that one. That'd be a hell of a draft class. But we'll see. We'll have to see.
So you said the 2 starters for special teams. Okay, all right.
And they could be gunners, anti-gunners. They can go out there. They can do that there.
Okay. Remember this, Newy. Remember this. He got two starters losing their job this season.
I'm telling you.
Go back.
You heard it here first.
What we talked about with Jordan Lewis just right there, his ability to cover the slot, and you must have a guy who can cover the slot, but you really need 2 when you start thinking about injuries. But how much do we think that Jordan Lewis can excel under Al Harris, the new Cowboys secondary coach? Because we all knew that Chris Richard, the previous secondary coach, really liked bigger guys, and the thought process was that Jordan Lewis wasn't getting as much run because he didn't fit the prototypical height that Chris wanted. Maybe this is a better opportunity for Jordan Lewis to excel with Al Harris here.
I can see that happening. I mean, especially at the slot corner, I know they like their big corners, big physical corners out there on the outside because there's not really a lot of wiggle room that the receivers have out there. But on the slot, I mean, you got all those quick Beasley type receivers. You got to have somebody that can match up with them. So I feel like Jordan Lewis fits prototypically, perfect. You got the right size, you got great quicks. He's not the fastest in the world, but neither are all the slot receivers. So I think he fits that perfectly. But as far as the outside, I think you definitely have to have some size to you. And I don't think he fits that outside corner realm. So that's where I put Diggs and Robinson in there. But overall, I think he fits perfectly in that slot.
Yeah, same here. I think the reason why those slot corners are the way they are is because they're quick. They have a good feel for the game. Their instincts are above some of the outside corners, and I think him being able to disguise and blitz and play those zones and then also make plays on the ball like we've seen him do when he got into the game, I think that'll help him excel at that slot position. So I think we'll see big things from Jordan Lewis this season.
All right, so we both feel that, all 3 of us, I should say, feel that the defense is going to have to catch up to where the offense is based on not having off-season workouts. Now, since we're going and saying the offense under Kellen Moore is going to have an edge because they aren't going to change too much of it here, how good of a play caller do we think Kellen Moore can develop into in the National Football League? Start with you, Danny.
I think he can be a good play caller. I think the biggest knock on him last season was those slow starts and him being able to get that offense going at the beginning of the game. We saw that he was able to draw some things coming out of halftime and late into the second quarter, but he has to be able to get those guys going out of the gate. That first 15-play script that coaches usually have to get their offense rolling, I think he needs to just work on that. And if he's able to get that done, I think he'll be an excellent play caller.
Same here. I think as he's getting into his second year as full-time play caller, I think he'll develop into a better play caller. I just think, like you said, Danny, in that first 15, I think he has to just develop a little bit more creativity. I feel like during last season it was a lot of let's run Zeke on first down, He's kind of like running into a brick wall, and the running plays, was kind of just run Zeke up the middle. All right, let's run Zeke to the edge. There was no kind of counters or creativity to it, and so I just think if he can develop a little bit more creativity, especially with the wide receivers he has. I mean, we've seen last time. Amari Cooper was getting locked up against, the Gilmores of the world, the better corners. So let's, stack them up behind another wide receiver. Let's put them in motion a little bit just to get their playmakers open and a better opportunity. So I think he can be a better play caller this year. He just has to develop a little bit more creativity, but I think he could be pretty good overall.
Barry, stay there on Cooper, because I go back to that Rams playoff game, and Cooper ended up catching, I want to say it was a 23 or 33-yard touchdown pass, and he caught it out of the slot. And he was just giving the Rams DBs issues out of the slot. And talking with a former NFL coach, defensive coach, he kept telling me, he says, why don't the Cowboys utilize Cooper more out of the slot? Yeah, he's a guy who can play on the outside, he says, but on the inside, as big and strong as he is, he can give some of these smaller slot DBs some serious trouble here. So what are your thoughts about being able to use him differently under Mike McCarthy in a way that he wasn't really utilized under head coach Jason Garrett?
I think it's going to be great for Amari Cooper, and I think it's going to be great for Dak Prescott to have McCarthy's offense in here. If you look back at what he did with Jordy Nelson in his Green Bay days, Jordy would play on the outside, he would play on the inside, he was motioning left and right. They were finding ways to get him open. I think they'll do that same type of thing with Amari Cooper here. I mean, like you said, when you put him in a slot, he has a lot more room to wiggle, and he's going against smaller corners. If you're on the outside, usually you're bigger, physical, longer corners who can kind of shut you out if they get a handle on you because there's not a lot of wiggle room. But in that slot, you have about 10 yards of just open space, and if that guy misses on you at the beginning, you have open field for days. So I think they'll get a little bit more creative with that and getting him the ball. They might put him in some stacks, some type of option type routes where he can have an opportunity to basically get a free release off the ball instead of just having to go against that corner one-on-one all day. So I think we'll see that a little bit more creativity from Kellen Moore. But putting him in a slot, I think it'd be a great idea because he has the speed to separate. He's big and physical against these smaller corners, and he can just outman them. So I think putting him in a slot would be a great opportunity for this Cowboys offense.
Yeah, and to piggyback off Church, it's usually a lot harder to double the slot receiver, especially on first and second down. It's easier when you know he's going to be at the X or the Z because you got a corner and a safety that can get over the top. When you have guys on the inside playing the run, and then you also have to be able to play action and play the pass, it's just a little bit harder to account for somebody in the slot or even get 2 or 3 guys to get over there and try to play combo coverage on them. So I think he'll get more openings if they put him in the slot, and he'll have more opportunities to make those big plays like he did against the Rams.
All right, this is where I want to rely on you guys as former NFL players here. So here comes a new head coach in Mike McCarthy, who's got an offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, who's going to call the plays, according to McCarthy, but they've never worked together. How much coaching does McCarthy have to do of Kellen Moore to get him where he wants him to be? What type of growing pains do you think we'll see from a head coach and a coordinator, guys who've never worked together? I'll start with you, Church.
I think you'll see a lot of growing pains. I mean, usually that's what you have the spring for, OTAs, you have mini camps, you have just to get a feel for one another, especially as your first time working together. Kellen Moore has worked with this offense before, so he has a better feel for the players, and I think that's where McCarthy's going to kind of lean on him. How does this player react to this type of coaching and that type of coaching? But as far as the play calling together, they've never worked together. They've never been able to put McCarthy's system to the field and see how the players react to it. So I think there'll be a lot of growing pains. Hopefully they'll be able to work through these quickly in training camp because we know the season will be right around the corner if it started on time. So hopefully they'll be able to work through these things. But seeing as though hopefully the terminology will be pretty much the same with Kellen's offense, the players will be able to pretty much translate it quickly and get going. But I think there will be a little bit of growing pains going forward.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I really honestly just hope that they've been talking and meeting and doing FaceTime and Zoom, and they've been finding a way to simplify this offense, especially for training camp in the first few weeks of the season. Because if you try to come in and input the entire offensive playbook, the growing pains and the yelling and the cursing on the sideline will be very visible because it will happen when they first get out there. Like, you can't do it. So hopefully they simplified it and they're both on the same page about what should be called, what players they want to try to get in what positions, and they just start off the season running a few of those things and just grow the playbook as they go throughout week 17.
All right, you're checking out the Players Lounge. I am Newy Scruggs, longtime reporter for the Cowboys, joined by 2 former Dallas Cowboys defensive backs, Danny McCray and Barry Church. Still to come on the show, we recap our Dak Prescott bet that Danny and I keep going into. Let's talk about some concerns of COVID-19 within the NFL and possibly the Cowboys locker room that could happen. And the NFL has just come out with some breaking news about a holiday that they are going to close all their offices for. I'll give you that next as we take a break right here on the Players Lounge.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down, based on GWS One score September 2019.
Back to the Players Lounge.
Hey, Friday means the Players Lounge right here on DallasCowboys.com. I'm Newy Scruggs, longtime Cowboys reporter, joined by former Cowboy defensive back Danny McCray and former Cowboys defensive back Barry Church. All right, we've got breaking news just coming down from the National Football League. Juneteenth, the NFL says they are going to close their offices and designate it as a company holiday. Juneteenth is a celebration of the end of the Civil War. Now, it's celebrated down here in Texas, and it has been for years. The Civil War ended in April, okay, first week in April, but a lot of the black slaves who lived in Texas didn't find out about it until June. And so June 19th, Juneteenth, is a day of celebration where people down here in Texas have barbecues. And Church, I know you're from the Pittsburgh area. Danny, you're from Texas. So, Danny, it's something you grew up with.
I think I lost y'all.
Now we got you. We got you, Danny. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, man. So down here in the great state of Texas, in the great city of Houston, it's a big day, man. It's people all out at the car wash, all their favorite restaurants, barbecuing, crawfish, doing all this stuff. It's a huge day out here, and I'm glad that the NFL is recognizing it as such. And I will be celebrating in my front yard this year.
All right. So for you, Church, did you know about it growing up in the Pittsburgh area? Was it just something you heard of once you got down here to the Cowboys in Texas?
Yeah, I didn't really hear because there was no type big celebrations or anything like that up north in Pittsburgh for Juneteenth. I didn't really hear about it until I got down here and I was playing with the Cowboys, and a lot of people with the Cowboys, while my teammates were from Texas, and they kind of looked at me crazy, like, you don't know nothing about this? And I was like, nah, man, I just didn't know anything about it. So up north, it's not, I guess it's not really a big holiday, but definitely learned about it when I got down here for sure.
Church, you came to a crawfish boil at the house for Juneteenth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I came down here, I was like, oh, okay, I like this.
And it really is an opportunity. I'm glad the NFL is doing this because it gives an opportunity to let more people know outside of Texas exactly what Juneteenth is, and that people today, we got these cell phones here, man. So with these cell phones, boom, we just get stuff instantly, and we just think that, we just had this assumption that everyone knew, or that the day that General Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, boom, everything was good, everybody dropped your weapons. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. So I love the fact that what the NFL is doing is bringing awareness to this holiday, and that they're going to close their offices and educate more people about it. And I think this is something that when they have the rookie seminars and the ability to let other folks know, okay, hey, look, this is what's going on. Now, at the same time, and you guys know this very much, June 19th is not a time when people are really working anyway. This is when most teams, players, and coaches are away on vacation as they get ready to go to training camps.
Exactly. I would. Go ahead, Danny. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will tell you this: playing in Chicago and then playing in Dallas, and seeing how much more on the business side, the things that Dallas has going on. The office in Dallas is often pretty busy compared to other teams in the league. So I think it's bigger for some teams and more. It's more important that for some teams that this day is being considered a holiday than others. So the Cowboys usually office would be booming and stuff. A lot of stuff will be going on June 19th, and this year it'll be closed. I mean, there's Corona going on, but in the future it'll be closed. So I think it's big for the Cowboys at least.
So what are your thoughts this week as what we've seen? Because from the last time we did our show, we saw it was earlier that morning. The players had come out, and Ezekiel Elliott was one of 19 guys who came out and basically called out the NFL. Then later on that day, Roger Goodell came out and said we were wrong and we should have listened to the players. And so now they're also contributing $250 million to social justice and looking at policing. So for me, I'm shocked that in what Colin Kaepernick started in 2016, 2017 has now now gotten to the point where the NFL is giving money, admitting that they were wrong, and now that they're going to say we're going to recognize Juneteenth. I mean, they're starting to actually do what Roger Goodell says: listen to their players. Church.
Yeah, I mean that's like you said, that's huge. I mean, celebrating Juneteenth and then them coming out of their pockets $25 million a year, so it comes up to $250 million. I think that's huge, and it's a shame that it had to take the life of George Floyd to get this ball rolling. Like you said, Kaepernick had mentioned this and was making a stand on it 3 years ago, and it just took the life of George Floyd for this ball to get rolling. Are we still far away from where we want to be? Of course we are, but at least the ball's getting rolled in the right directions. When you have guys like LeBron James, you got other guys standing up, and then you got NASCAR making a stand, taking away the Confederate flags. I mean, we know that the main fan base of NASCAR, we all know, is the down south white community, and for them to take down that Confederate flag, I mean, that was huge. So I mean, the ball is definitely rolling in the right direction. Like I said, we're a long way away, but at least it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that they're recognizing this, and Goodell came out and recognized that he was wrong and admitted it. And the only recognition that I'm waiting on is this Colin Kaepernick thing. I mean, they had Pete Carroll on this morning saying that a team called him expressing interest in Kaepernick. I'm wondering who that team was, and I'm wondering if there will be more teams to follow to see if this wrong will be made right this season. Of NFL. I want to see Colin Kaepernick get a job, and I would love to see him mentioned by name to say, hey man, we appreciate you for actually starting this, but I mean, we'll see how that goes.
Do you think it has something to do with the legal settlement they had, that they can't mention his name, or do you just think they're doing that just out of spite?
I think they can mention his name. They don't have to say they colluded. They can say, hey man, we were wrong, Colin Kaepernick, you were right when you first took a knee. That's not them admitting collusion, but we'll see. I think the ball is rolling. I think it'll touch somebody in the right way, and then they'll come on out and say it, and then it'll be other people to come to follow.
What you think,
I was asked on 105 through the Fan this week. Did I think Colin Kaepernick was going to get a job? And I said no, I don't. Look, we know there are several coaches. Never forget the owners. There's several coaches who wanted nothing to do with Colin Kaepernick. Okay, they were very upset by what he did and what other players had done. So I just don't know. And this is a league that has said we'll let the Nate Petermans and Mike Glennons make money here, but we're not going to let Colin Kaepernick. And then also I was asked by RJ Choppy on 105 through the Fan. He says, well, do you think Colin Kaepernick will actually come in and take a job as a backup? And I said to Chop, I was like, Chop, I said, that should not even be a question. So Colin Kaepernick knows if he comes in the league, he's going to have to come in as a backup player. I said, that's the same thing that people want to use against Cam Newton right now. Well, can Cam come in as a backup? people have their starters at this point in time, okay? They've got their starters. And so if you come and take a job, you pretty much know it's going to be as a backup. But to say that's the reason to not sign a guy like Cam Newton or not sign a Colin Kaepernick, I think is crazy, because I was here when Randall Cunningham came to the Cowboys as a backup quarterback to Troy Aikman. I mean, these are two guys who competed against each other at a high level for years, and he'd face each other in the playoffs. But Randall Cunningham ended up coming here. Rodney Peete came here. I mean, Rodney Peete was a starter in Detroit. He ended up coming to Dallas and was a backup to Troy Aikman. So I just feel at times I was hearing excuses as to why, well, maybe we shouldn't sign this person. But I just don't believe that Colin Kaepernick's going to get a job. I have to see it. I can hear all this talk. But until I see Colin Kaepernick not just signed to a team, but on a roster on game day, I'm going to have a hard time believing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's the wave right now, and I think that it'll be the cool thing to do. So I think somebody's going to do it for that reason and because they know that they were wrong. So once again, me and Newy are at odds with this one. I believe Kaepernick will get a job, or he will get a chance to do an actual real workout that is by a team and not forced on by the NFL.
Okay, now,
at this point, go ahead.
Now, but okay, you can have a workout. Okay, you can even sign a guy. Go back to Michael Sam. All right, drafted by the Rams, cut by the Rams, picked up by the Cowboys. Never played a game for the Cowboys. He was an ERW. He was a sideline shorts. He eat, ride, and warm up for games, and that was all he did. So, for me, would you say forget signing? Are you going to put Colin Kaepernick on a team and this guy is activated in a uniform on a game day? I just don't see that happening. I just don't right now.
Well, my whole thing is now, if you get a real workout with a team, I'm assuming that it'll be other guys there that they're having to work out. So you will actually see who's better and who's not, and have a real eye test for why this guy didn't get put on the team. Was he better than the guys that he was out there working out against? Did they pick up a guy off the street from that we know isn't better than Colin Kaepernick after this workout? So I think they'll be under more scrutiny if they actually bring him in for a workout, and I think that'll be a reason for him to be on the team if his talent show that he still has enough to be a backup on the roster.
And see, to me, the whole does he have enough talent? We know he does. I mean, we know this man can play the game of football. And you start looking at the roster of some of these other quarterbacks, and you just simply say, hey, does your backup quarterback have experience starting in a Super Bowl? Most of them don't. You know, Cooper Rush, who was here for Dak Prescott for 2 years as the backup, is now up in New York. You know, you think that they couldn't have him in New York backing up Daniel Jones? You think they'd rather have Colin Kaepernick or Cooper Rush take snaps if Daniel Jones ends up getting hurt? And last year, Daniel Jones did get hurt, which allowed Eli Manning to step back on the field. So we know he's better than a whole lot of dudes on rosters, okay? We know this. But the NFL and its coaches, managers, and owners have decided they don't want any part in it. And what do we know about Colin Kaepernick? While it could be popular to maybe sign him, and for certain teams, it may not be popular if he goes to other teams. And all these owners were guarded against their pocketbook. It was made to be seen that Colin was bad for business. So are we now saying Colin's going to be good for business? And just because a guy is good for business, does that mean a team is actually going to go out there and do it? That portion of it, to me, I'm skeptical about.
I'm skeptical, I'm skeptical, but I think it's the probability of it now is so much higher than it was before, because it is. I think it is good for the pocketbook, and it is good for the optics and public relations. I think that this is the perfect time if one of these guys want to take a chance. Anybody who was on the fence back then and didn't want to be the first person to step out, I think they have that opportunity to do that now. And even if it is just a grab for money or PR stunt, I would still love to see the man get the opportunity.
We shall see. We shall see. He is Danny McCray, Barry Church. Fellas, tell everybody where they can find you on social media. You start, Danny.
You can catch me on Twitter at DannyDmac44 and on Instagram at Danny_McCray40.
You can catch me at Barry Church 42. That's both Twitter and Instagram.
All right, you can catch me on Twitter at Newy Scruggs. It's NEWYSCRUGGS. Now, since we talked about Colin Kaepernick here, let's just break it down for the Cowboys. Any room for him on this team?
Nah. I'm gonna have to shoot that down immediately. I just don't see. One, I mean, we got Andy Dalton. We got a solidified backup quarterback there. Do I think Colin Kaepernick is better than Andy Dalton now, 3 years from playing the game? No, I don't think he's better than Andy Dalton. So I'm just have to stick with Andy Dalton as our backup. And two, I mean, we're already, quote unquote America's team, and the media firestorm that would happen with Colin Kaepernick here, I just don't see it happening. So I got to give it a definite no on that one. That he'll be wearing the star anytime in the future.
Yeah, I'm absolutely, positively, no way, no chance, not happening. For the same reasons that Church said, I think Andy Dalton is better than Colin Kaepernick is now. I mean, the guy was up in Cincinnati. I mean, so we know it wasn't much there. He's been to the playoffs. He's still proven. And I think with the weapons that we have here in Dallas, he would still be able to be productive. Two, I just remember the issue that the Cowboys had with the kneeling and the flag, and I don't think they're open to bringing in Kaepernick with those beliefs. So it won't happen. I will stand on that one 100%. We will not see Colin Kaepernick play for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, now I'll say this. When you said the Cowboys stance and Jerry Jones' stance about the flag, we live in a drastically different world since the Dallas Cowboys last played football, between COVID-19 and what has happened here with George Floyd, and the NFL's stance against the players and saying that they were wrong and not listening to the players. We haven't heard from Jerry Jones yet, but do you think Jerry Jones may change his mind? That Jerry Jones may say, my players are free to do whatever they feel they want to do?
I think that Jerry is his own man and always will be, and however he feels, no matter if it's popular or unpopular, he's going to state that and continue to work that way. So if he still feels the same about the flag, I believe that he will still say the same stuff that he said in the past, and I don't think he cares what people think about it. So at this point, I believe that he still feels the same.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you 100% on that one. I feel like Jerry probably feels the same way he felt about the flag in the beginning, and he's like you said, he's the ultimate businessman. So I don't think he'll go out there and say anything to mess up his bottom line. So at the end of the day, I think he probably still feels the same way he felt about the flag. And like I said, I don't see any room for Colin to be here or anything like that. So I'm gonna go with that one, but I want to see what you think about that, Newy.
All right, I'm gonna push back on something you just said there, Barry, when you said that bottom line. Yep. Nike blew that all away when they signed Colin Kaepernick and had the ads deal, and you had a whole bunch of people now who were like, I can't stand Nike, I'm gonna burn my Nikes, I'm not gonna wear my Nikes, I'm gonna go wear Under Armour. Nike's stock went up. Nike's stock they're just doing just fine. So I think this whole premise that if you bring in Colin Kaepernick, you're going to turn off and kill your bottom line, I don't think that's the case. Now think about it this way, Barry. You just said the NFL should be worried about their bottom line. What did NASCAR just do with the Confederate flag? NASCAR just said, nah, get it out of here, turning it against their very own base and something that a lot of their fans held on to, and they said no. So if NASCAR can do that with the flag, surely they can allow that to happen in the National Football League and let players do whatever they want to do. You've already got certain teams that are saying that. You got Adrian Peterson coming out this week saying, hey, I'm going to kneel.
I mean, I hear a lot of talking. Hey, Pete talking about I'm kneeling, I'm doing this. I'm hearing a lot of talking. I just, I got to see the actions first. I got to see these players that are saying, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I got to see them do it first. And I understand what you mean by taking the Confederate flag away. But NASCAR and NFL, I mean, it's two different beasts right there. So I'm just interested to see once we start playing again, if all these players and everybody saying what they were going to do in the summertime are going to do during the season. I just want to wait and see that. But if they do, more hats to them, and you'd be right on that, Newy.
Yeah, I think that the bottom line thing is a little different, especially for a team like the Cowboys, who has way more sponsorship dollars out there than I think any other team in the National Football League. And Nike, for everything that they did, which was great, I think they are bigger than some of these other sponsors that are out there, and they could have took that loss if it went the opposite way, and they still were a sponsor of the NFL. So, I mean, I think it's a little different as far as the Cowboys' bottom line versus the NFL's bottom line.
And at the end of the day, ain't nobody wearing no Under Armour shoes, man.
Miles Austin.
Yeah, that's about it. Get you some UAs out there.
The Rock's Under Armour shoe is selling very well. I just want to make sure.
That's one of them.
There's probably like 50-year-old ladies out there buying the Rock Under Armour shoes.
Yeah, I ain't
fast
did y'all see those shoes? I mean, those are terrible.
Hey, you remember when Cam Newton boots first came out, when everybody was like, "Man, what is this?"
That's true. That boy had the boxing shoes out there, man.
All right, we've got to take another break. We revisit the bet that Danny McCray and I have about Dak Prescott and his contract situation, and also which position has the biggest need for a long-term solution with the Cowboys. We do that next with Danny McCray, Barry Church, Newy Scruggs, right here on DallasCowboys.com.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down, based on GWS One score September 2019.
To Dallas's frontline responders, thank you. To show its gratitude, Tide is offering free laundry services in Dallas to the families of frontline responders. Simply bring your laundry and your identification to Tide Cleaners, and they will wash it within 2 days. One thing less for you to worry about. While you take care of us all, Tide will take care of the laundry for the families of frontline responders. To learn more and find a location near you, visit hope.tidecleaners.com.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
Back to the Players Lounge.
Friday, Players Lounge, right here on DallasCowboys.com. Newy Scruggs, longtime Cowboy reporter, joined by former Cowboy players Danny McCray and Barry Church. So, gentlemen, you guys were killing that Cam Newton Under Armour. Is this? You guys don't like the Cam? I got a pair of the Cam.
Oh, you wrong. You wrong for that. Oh, man. I'll tell you right now.
Y'all like that?
You wrong for that one.
Like my Cams, man. Yeah,
Listen.
Hey,
Don't do it.
I'm not doing it. I got the black pair of the Rock shoes, man. Y'all ain't like that?
Oh, man. You done pulled out the Rock?
Listen, now he about to be doing the people's elbow and the rock bottom and all this stuff. It's not you.
It's not you. I got the white pair too.
Oh, like here we go. Here we go, man. He gonna start raising his eyebrows and stuff.
See the brother bull symbol on the back, man. So
calling people jabronis.
Hey,
down on that, bro.
Hey, man. Don't start calling people jabroni, man.
Come on, man. Come on. So y'all now.
Man.
But I will say this, that my favorite, of course, it's the Air Jordan. So, I am a Air Jordan guy. Make us high five.
The Jordan ones?
We do support Jordan, a big Jordan brand.
Which ones? What's your favorite pair of Jordans?
You know what? It's really about. I like the Trunners. Because of the heels. So I like the. So I'm a big fan of that. But if you're just talking about just the basketball one in general, I don't know the exact name of it. I got it in there. Actually, I got it at the Nike store in 2011. I spent $700 at the Nike store in 2011 because the Mavericks the Mavs were playing Portland during the NBA playoffs. The Mavs ended up going in that June and winning the finals, and so we got that 50% off discount. So I ran in there. I spent $700. I had to buy a suitcase to put all these shoes in there, and I still believe it or not, I still am able to wear about 3 of them that I bought from that trip. I bought so many of those Jordans up there that I had at that Nike store. So, but I'm a big Jordan guy. Whenever we go out to camp, and you guys know that little shopping, that little outdoor mall that you pass, the outlet mall you pass on the 101 to going up to camp. So I always stop over there, and so I got a pair of which one did I get these? I got a pair of these. I got these Jordans last summer. Okay. Got these for about $80, real nice. So I got those. But when I have an opportunity to get a pair of Jordans, I usually will snag a pair. So they're comfortable, but it's the heel. Now, you know what? During the break, I went in there. In the break, I went in and got him out of the closet. Since you guys were, complaining on poor Cam and the Rock, man. It's like somebody gotta. I did support them as their ventures, as they had their footwear out there, but ultimately, if I'm going to choose just a brand to wear, I'm a brand Jordan guy. So they did a good job with the shoes.
Newy, when you take me out to eat, do not wear those Rock shoes, all right? Don't wear those. Come on, don't wear those shoes, all right? Wear some Jordans, some loafers, something like that. Keep them at the house.
You don't smell it.
I can see you with some Jordan ones.
If you smell.
Nah, I don't smell what the Rock is cooking.
I've never bought the Jordan 1s, and I remember, because I'm older than you guys, I remember when those shoes came out, because I was living in North Carolina when Michael played for the Tar Heels, and so I was a big Jordan guy, and when they first came out with the shoes, I thought they were ugly. I was like, man, these shoes don't, because it was black and red, and it didn't look good, and then they ended up, then they put some of the white in, because the NBA said you can't wear that shoe because it's got to have white in the shoe. And anyway, over time, man, they really developed it. But the early Air Jordans, I was not a big fan of.
Still not now?
So, but now, obviously, you got 10 million choices. I was watching the Colonial Golf Tournament, and Harold Varner III, who ended up tying for the lead after the first round, he is a Jordan guy, and you can see those sweet Jordan golf shoes he has. So it has been amazing to see how Michael Jordan and a shoe have changed culturally, not just the fashion of people, but to enter a sport like golf the way it has, and so many people are wearing Air Jordan golf shoes, and then for you guys in football in the NFL to see Air Jordan cleats on football players is pretty amazing.
Yeah, he revolutionized the shoe game. I mean, like you said, he's taken over golf. I got a pair of Jordan golf shoes now, and it's just amazing how much he's revolutionized the game when it comes to shoe apparel. I mean, he went from basketball to golf, and now you see, like you said, you see football players wearing Jordan cleats. So, I mean, he revolutionized the game. I don't think we'll ever see any type of a businessman like that as far as sports. And LeBron's trying to get there, but, I mean, his shoe game is ridiculous.
Yeah, man. Jordan had boots. I see people with tuxedos and Jordans on, Jordan 1s, black and white. The culture of the Jordan shoe is just huge, and I don't think it's going any place, and nobody will ever be able to replicate it.
It has definitely become a part of American culture. And worldwide culture, really. When you start to think about it, you go over there and you see Luka Doncic to the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, here's a kid from Slovenia who's signed by the Jordan brand, so it's pretty cool there. Let me go shut this dog up here, man. My goodness.
Man.
Danny, recap our bet here while I go get my dog to be quiet, all right?
Listen. Well, since he's gone, our first bet he lost because he said Joe Burrow wouldn't win the Heisman, and he ended up winning, so he had to take me to Papa Do's, which is one of my favorite restaurants. And this time he believes that Dak Prescott will sign a long-term 4-year deal before the franchise tag deadline, and I think he'll be playing on the franchise tag this year. So when Newy loses again, he will be taking me out to eat for a second time without his Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shoes on.
And isn't the deadline in like a month, right? The deadline.
July 15th.
The franchise, and he thinks that Dak's going to sign a long-term deal before that.
Yes,
a 4-year deal at that. A 4-year deal at that.
A 4-year deal at that.
So he signed a 4-year deal. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I believe. Yes.
I love you, Newy, but I just can't see it, man. You about to go 0-2. This is crazy.
Newy, tell me why you are so much more optimistic this week than last week. Because at the beginning of the show, you said you feel better about it than you have in the past.
Yes, because I can see Gerald Wayne Jones sliding out there with Dak Prescott. And maybe this could be the first time we've seen Jerry Jones make a statement and talk to the media. And here he is, paying Dak Prescott. Doing it, Jerry Maguire. I love the black man. I love black people. Here you go, Dak Prescott, the highest contract in the NFL. Look, Danny, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Tell me the player he did not want that he didn't get. This man's been owning a football team since 1989. He's always got his guy.
But no, he's not losing them. He's not losing them.
But he's going to take care of him. He's going to take care of him as I let this dog in. He's going to take care of him, and it's going to be all good.
Yeah, he's going to give him $70 million over the next 2 years and then pay him. So I mean, yeah, he going to get taken care of anyways, but I still think he's going to be on that franchise tag come July 16th. The day after, he's going to be walking in that building on the tag. The tag hanging out the shoes.
Y'all think this is going towards a Kirk Cousins type situation, or we're completely away from Kirk Cousins? It's either a 1-year franchise and nothing, or they just going to keep franchising? What you think?
Well, Barry, if you go back and you think about the issues with what was going on in Washington, was Bruce Allen wasn't sold on Kirk Cousins. And the folks who were the biggest Kirk Cousins fans, they fired. That was the Shanahans. He was their guy. So right out of the gate, you got to kind of put it in terms of, do you like the player? Or are you sold on the player? The Joneses have told you they're sold on Dak Prescott. They want it. Mike McCarthy spoke highly about Dak Prescott before. Look, okay. I don't know when we'll have our next show, but I'm imagining, Danny, when we have our next podcast, we'll take a little hiatus here. Then when we get back together, that's when you can come on the air and apologize to me and just say, Newy, you.
Newy, let me tell you this. I had a high school coach. His name was Corby Meekins. And he used to tell us this because we had a team that we had some troublemakers on there, but we were great football players. And as long as we were disciplined enough and stayed with our eyes on the game, we could make it to state and win. He would say, what you are doing speaks so loud that I cannot hear what you are saying. And that is exactly what's going on with Jerry now. He has not been paid. We have been talking about this for a year, and we are 1 month away from him being franchise tagged. What you are doing is speaking so loud, I cannot hear what you're saying, which is, we trust him, but do we really believe in him that much? So pay him, and then I believe it.
Todd France is the agent working this deal here, and Todd France hadn't spoke to him in a minute. And when is Todd going to talk to him? Todd will talk to him in July when the deal, as they get closer and the deal gets done, and he'll get everything he wants, which is to make Dak Prescott the highest paid quarterback in the NFL as of right now, because I believe that we'll see Deshaun Watson pass it and then Patrick Mahomes. So Dak Prescott is going to get his money. It'll get done in July. When did Dez's deal get done? In July. When did Amari Cooper's deal done? His deal got done as free agency went on. Clearly we've seen the Cowboys. They do these deals at the end. It will get done. And I'll go back to something Bill Parcells used to say. All I can go by is what I see. And what I've seen in the past is the Cowboys have got it done.
Amari Cooper does not count because the rules changed right before. He had a chance to get transition tagged, and Dak had another tag and all that, and then that fell through, so they only could use one, so Coop had to be paid at a certain time. So I think that's a little different. I knew you be taking me out to eat. Thank you. We'll decide where later, since you said the next time we reconvene, I'll be apologizing. I'll be apologizing to you for ordering too many drinks on your tab.
I feel real confident in this. Real confident. Before we go, fellas,
get you some alligator, man.
What's going on? No. Actually, I did make alligator in New Orleans. I did make alligator in New Orleans at the New Orleans School of Cooking. So I have made gator before. What position group do you guys think needs to be the position group that they need to look at in terms of a long-term solution?
I think it got to be. To me, it's got to be the cornerback position. I mean, they drafted one corner high, they drafted another corner in the late round. So, and they brought, I think, the other guy from Oakland, I believe. His name is I can't find his name right now, but they brought another guy in. So I think they just invested a lot in the cornerback position. So if one of their investments can pay off as a long-term solution, I think that'll work, and hopefully it does.
Man, I'm going with linebacker just because we don't know about LVE's neck. Can y'all hear me?
I think we lost
not
McCray.
Not here, McCray, but I'll go into tight end. I really look at the fact that tight end is going to be a position that they're going to have to address here, because if Blake Jarwin does not become the player we think, then they're going to have to go out and start to look at finding that guy. You start to look at the Super Bowl the past couple of years, and you see what a George Kittle has done in San Francisco. You see what Travis Kelce has done in Kansas City. Those two teams played the Super Bowl. You saw what the Eagles got out of Zach Ertz, and they won a Super Bowl. We saw what Rob Gronkowski and the difference he was able to make for the Patriots in winning Super Bowl. So, if you really want to get to that next level here, having a difference-making tight end who creates matchup problems makes a difference and will help you win some games here. So I think Blake Jarwin has an opportunity to show us he could be a difference maker. Clearly, he was held back last year by Jason Garrett and the staff because they wanted to make sure Jason Witt was getting his run. But to me, that's the one position group that I look at long-term where they really need to make sure they find a solution. They gave Blake a significant contract this offseason, but if he's not that guy, they've got to go make they've got to make the efforts to try and solidify that spot, because I just think tight end and what they want to do in this offense, you got to have somebody who can make some plays down the field. And if Blake is not that guy, they got to go fix it.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. So no, I went with linebacker because we don't know what's going on with LV's neck, and Sean Lee. We know he's kind of at the end of the career, so he may have 1 or 2 years left. So you're looking at 2 linebacker positions that could be up in the air in the coming future. So I think that's one of the positions that we need to be focusing on.
Yeah, and how do they use Jalen Smith in this system? So yeah, Barry, that's a good point that you made to Barry and I here about the linebacker spot. Yeah, there are definitely question marks there. So, and that's the beauty of the National Football League and why we're looking forward to the 2020 season, because there's a lot of questions here. Vegas and people are saying the Cowboys are 10.5. In Vegas and games they think they'll win this year, but we know you got to go out there and get it done. There's talent on the roster. Let's see how they position it together. And we're going to take a break on our end here for the Players Lounge. We'll take a couple weeks off, and when we get back, the season will get going. We'll have a lot more news and a lot more things to talk about, and we will celebrate the 4-year contract Dak Prescott gets when we reconvene next. And Danny McCray, I'll let you lead off the show, and I want you to say, "Dear Newy, I was wrong." That's how it needs to start. Ooh. Dear Newy, I was wrong. Okay?
Ooh. Here we go. I didn't hear you say that about Joe Burrow. That wasn't in the bet, but we'll see. I might be feeling generous that day.
I came up and but I admitted my wrongs, though. I admitted that. Yes,
that's not how you said it. That's not how you said it.
That's not how you said it. You didn't ask. I mean, Joe's a bad boy. Okay, I was wrong. Joe's a bad boy. I thought that they were going to try and figure out a way to get it to Tua or Trevor Lawrence, but Joe went next level with a historic performance, and hey, all hats to him, man. I didn't mind paying that one because that guy was a truth. That kid was a truth, and mine was jaded more into my. I know how the media seems to work these things, the guys they want. But Joe, despite what people were thinking with these other guys, he outperformed. I mean, he left no doubt. Sensational season, man. And now the number 1 pick in the draft. I hope he has a long career, man. I just hate that every time he does well, I got to hear your mouth and David Helman. That's the portion of it that I can't stand. But the kid is somebody to root for. He's the right kind of guy. As he left LSU on his final game and put the Burrow in there with the EUX on there and what he's done since being drafted in the NFL, the position he took to back the players during Black Lives Matter. The
first Louisiana quarterback to speak out in the correct way.
Yeah, so Joe Burrow, man, I got nothing but respect for him. But like I said, the problem is when I praise him, I got to hear from you. And that's the part that I don't always like doing here. But love the kid, man. And I hope he has a long career. And you know what? I hope we get to go actually see him play this year. That would be, because I don't know what the travel schedule is going to be in terms of if they're going to allow media to go. That's going to be that next thing that we start to figure out with this whole COVID-19. But I hope we get to go see Joe Burrow play and see what he can do out there in Cincinnati. So there. Yeah, you happy? You happy?
Thanks. Nice way to end the show.
Yeah, I want you to bring that same intensity when Dak Prescott get that money. And the Jones family and you just say, I did not listen to the education Newy tried to provide me, but that's okay. That's why we do this show. Hey,
you're right. I admit that I'm wrong 5 months later. You're right. That's what I'm gonna do.
Both of you, man. Let's stay in touch during this time off. To everyone who listens and checks out the podcast, we appreciate you. We'll be back here. We're going to take a little bit of hiatus. We'll take a little bit of time off, but we'll be back to talk about the Dallas Cowboys and get the perspective of the two guys who used to wear the star, Danny McCray and Barry Church. I'm Newy Scruggs. Thank you so much for checking us out. We'll talk to you down the road next month.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.